Welcome back to Salam Media. You're still tuned in to your home of humanitarian journalism with myself, Salano Makwidiri. And today we're going to be having an important discussion lined up. We're going to be delving into the recent appointment of Senzo Mchunu as the new Minister of Police of South Africa. And, with the violent crimes such as murder, rape, housebreaking, and hijackings on the rise, Mchunu has vowed to tackle these critical issues head on. Joining us in a bit to share insights from the private security sector is Yaseen. Theba is the Director of Vision Tactical, and we'll be discussing some of the expectations, challenges, and potential impacts of this new leadership on crime prevention and public safety. So a very, very important conversation that I think, all of you need to be listening to because, as we know by now, private security and the police are now intersecting in ways that, were not expected before. Yaseen, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us and welcome to Salam Media.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
I think first and foremost, before I get your reaction to the appointment of Senzo Mchunu, I think let's reflect a bit to the relationship that you guys in the private security sector had with the previous Minister of Police, Peggy Cele, and his tenure as Minister of Police. What's his scorecard? How would you rate him?
One thing that we were always excited about is that Minister Bekisele always promoted the partnership between the private sector and the police. And we saw the results of that on the ground. A number of high-profile arrests, a number of crime combating initiatives that the minister promoted showed results, and some of those suspects are behind bars. So we appreciate the fact that he always promoted the private security industry in incorporated operations. Operation Chanela, he was a big supporter of Operation Chanela, and that's so all the different entities also within law enforcement come together. And that will probably be his legacy, like the former provincial commissioner Elias Mawela. We saw those partnerships show results, and I think that's what we'll miss. And we hope and pray that the successes will continue promoting those partnerships so that we can continue with those initiatives and those successes.
And right now, under this new administration, we have Senzo Mchunu coming in as the new Minister of Police. He hasn't worked in the sector. Previously he was with water and sanitation. I think he worked as a Minister of Public Services and Administration also. Your initial reaction when you found out that Senzo Mchunu would be the new boss of the Men in Blue?
Well, I think there's this perception that police minister has to have military or policing qualifications. And if we look at the issues that SAPS is having at the moment, we need someone that's hands-on. We need someone that can drive the organization, not necessarily take operational command. And we welcome someone that's been on the ground, that has worked in water and sanitation and has made differences, that has spearheaded a number of development projects within water and sanitation. And we're hoping that that knowledge and that leadership style will be incorporated in finding some sort of structure within the police. I've always said that the Minister of Police needs to be a businessman first. He needs to know how to deal with public. He needs to know how to create structure and leave the operational command, leave the operations on the ground, instructions to the police officers, leave that to the commissioner and provincial commissioners to run the police. So we welcome someone that's coming with a different background, not necessarily police and military background. And we just hope that he hits the ground running and starts dealing with some of the issues that we face on a daily basis.
And I'm sure in the private security sector, you guys interact with the police a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of operations that you guys do jointly. From your observation, what would you say are some of the key weaknesses in the South African police services that Minister Senzo Mchunu needs to tackle on, as quickly as he can, and should be the key areas of concern and of priority to him from your observation working with the SAPS?
Well, the most common issue within communities is the trust in the police. We know that the police Confidence in the police is at the all-time low. The morale within the police is at the all-time low. And we hope that the new minister can change that perception, so that many more people can come forward with positive information. Many more people can start reporting crime. We know that between just October 2023 and December 2023 last year, there was over 7,710 murders. And we hope that by partnering, by restoring the police, that the confidence in the police, people can come forward and we can start tackling issues like gun-related crime, so we can drop the murder rate, the robbery rate. And then also another critical area, that's been highlighted is the number of kidnappings that have been taking place. We hope that it can relook the crime intelligence space, so that we can start combating gang violence, corruption, extortion, kidnappings, and organized crime, even the Zama issues, illegal drugs, guns on the streets. We need to, we're hoping to see him make some improvements in that space. And we're there to support him as the private industry. There's a number of resources that the private security industry can play in bolstering the boots on the ground. And we hope that together, the new minister's approach will be to incorporate everyone so that we can work together to make South Africans safer.
And speaking of the private sector, particularly the private security sector, a lot has been said about how, to some extent, you guys seem to be replacing the South African police services in a lot of areas, and how you guys are now of first priority when someone is in trouble, they're at home. You guys would be the first focus, person will call you first rather than calling the police. How do you respond to this, to those that might say we are seeing the private sector kind of replace the South African police services instead of working jointly and finding some sort of solid collaboration between the two entities?
Well, the private security industry can never replace the police. The police have got a clear mandate. And their mandate is to follow to follow up on crime, to investigate crime. However, it's no secret that the South African police services and law enforcement in general has a serious lack of resources, and we're seeing those gaps being exposed. Our solution to that is, of course, that we need to partner. There needs to be constant collaboration with private security companies and the law enforcement. Their clear mandate states that they need to investigate crime. We respect that mandate, but crime is everyone's business. Crime affects us all, and I think until we don't have a holistic approach, this multifaceted approach to tackle crime, I don't think we can win the fight against crime. We know that previous provincial commissioners, the premier currently realizes that even within community safety, he's putting his hands now on community safety. We know that there's no longer a MEC for community safety in Gauteng. He realizes the importance of having community safety at the core of citizens in Gauteng, and we know that the Premier's stance on partnerships and collaborating has been very clear over the past few months, with the implementation of Gauteng wardens working privately with security, working hand in hand with security. So I mean, we're all on the same page. We know that we've got our mandates and our specific roles that we need to fulfill, but we also know that we can't do it alone, and we need to break this perception that we doing the police's work, or the police is no longer doing the work, so the private security is doing the work. That's not the approach we should be taking. The reality is we should be partnering and helping one another keep residents in this country safe.
Minister Mchunu has mentioned, the importance of a fight mentality in combating crime. What strategies do you believe are most, effective in this fight? Some people say, there should be a shift because of just how rampant crime has become in South Africa. There should be a shift in the mentality of our police, of rather than being a service, start being a force.
Well, we're dealing with criminals in South Africa that are taking the law into their own hands. We've seen how obstructive and how destructive these criminals can be. We've seen how these criminals are showing absolutely no regard for SAPS. And of course, the court system. We know how they're manipulating the court system so that they're walking out on bail. Just 2 days ago, there was a suspect that was arrested for the kidnapping of a Portuguese businessman, and the suspect was out on 5,000 rand bail not even 3 weeks ago. And if this is the sort of mentality of suspects, you can understand how the instructions to police needs to be that we need to come out fighting. We can't deal with criminals in South Africa and romanticize them like the previous minister mentioned. We need to deal with them in the way that they're dealing with people in South Africa, and it requires that fight approach. Unfortunately, the morale is low, and I mean, we need a minister that's going to boost the morale within the police so that we can get the convictions, we can get the arrests, and we can get visibility on the ground. And ultimately work towards making people safe and feeling safe. If people feel safer, they're going to have more confidence in the police, and they're going to end up reporting more crime, and we're going to end up seeing people even more safer. So it's going to have a snowball reaction in just changing the mentality within the police and changing the mentality in among the public.
And when his tenure is up, if he's not recalled or he doesn't resign after 5 years, if Senzo Mchunu after 5 years says he's done, he's leaving, or he's going to be redeployed somewhere else, what would you guys consider a success of his tenure? What would Senzo Mchunu's tenure as police minister look like for you to consider it a success and a good one and a collaborative one between the private security sector and the SAPS?
Well, a success for a politician and a success for the private security is completely different. We look at the stats. If we can bring down the murder rate, if we can bring down the amount of kidnappings that are taking place, that's a success. The stats speak for itself. Unlike the other departments within the cabinet, the stats is there to gauge whether he is successful or not. People just want to live in a safer environment. South Africans want safety. We're not concerned about a lot of other things that politicians are putting out there. But when the stats start speaking, we'll look at that as a scorecard of the minister, and he will be judged on how he dropped crime in the country.
No, thank you so much for your insight. Before I let you go, anything you'd like to share with our listeners regarding Vision Tactical? Any projects you're involved in? Anything they should be looking out for from your point of view?
Well, we know that we're living in a time where community needs to look after communities, and we want our local communities to play an active part in community police forums, in neighborhood watches, report crime. There's this thing that, I'm not going to report crime because nothing ever happens. Report crime. It's very important that the police get stats, and at least if nothing happens, then we've got someone to point fingers to. We can go back to that police station and say, there's been so many incidences in your area. What are we doing to deal with it? So we urge people to report crime so that we can hold the police responsible for not combating crime.
All right, going to leave it there. Yaseen Theba, Director at Vision Tactical. Thank you so much for giving us your time and giving us your reaction to the appointment of the new Police Minister, Senzo Mchunu. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there. Really, really insightful reaction there by Yaseen Theba from Vision Tactical. I think you can engage with us also. You can comment. We are live on our YouTube and our various social media platforms about your reaction to the appointment of the new Police Minister, Senzo Mchunu. Keep the conversation going on our various social media platforms. But we're going to leave it here for now. Goodbye.